Hi, my name is Matt, and when I ask you to think of card games, Uno is probably one of the first ones that comes to your mind, which is probably why when I asked my friend Jude what I should do for the next video, she told me to make a Uno bot. And if you love Uno, you are incredibly in luck because I decided to take them up on that offer, and I did make a Uno bot. Before I had even written the first line of code, I already ran into an issue. I needed some way for my friends to be able to play the bot once it was ready, and I didn't really know how to do that without compromising their hands. I wanted to be able to play with them, which would give me an unfair advantage if I could see their hands. So after a little bit of thinking, I realized I could make it a Discord bot and play with my friends on Discord. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. Since I was gonna code some sort of functionality for the bot to give you the ability to play the game anyway, I decided to code two bots. One that would allow you to play Uno with other people and bots, and a bot that could actually play the game through that bot. Now, the reason I didn't just randomly grab an Uno bot that already exists on the internet and made that the middle ground bot, the bot that would allow all the players and the bots to play together, the reason I didn't do that is because middle ground bots typically don't support bot input, so bots wouldn't be able to play through the middle ground bot. The middle ground bot took like 21 hours, which is embarrassing, and the actual bot that plays Uno took even longer. I wasn't even counting when I was making that because it lasted over so many days. But yeah, I take these projects very seriously, even if they turn out to be terrible and buggy at the end. So with the middle ground bot, I actually kind of made it in a way that it's very friendly to players, because I want the middle ground bot to be an effective Uno playing bot as well. I don't want it to just be a part of this video. So with like the intro out of the way, I think it's time for us to properly talk about the rules. You can skip over this if you know everything about Uno, but you may actually find out new things about the game because there are a lot of variations to it. And we're gonna be doing the official one. So yeah, meet you in the next section of the video. Now, barely any people actually follow the official rules of Uno because people like to make rules. These are called house rules usually, rules that are added onto the official rules or change the official rules. But the thing about Uno is that it itself is just a variation of a different game, which is a traditional German game called Mau Mau. It's very similar, and it's definitely where Uno itself derives from. But enough of that. Let's actually get into the rules. So at the beginning of the game, there's a single deck, and from that deck, every player that is present is dealt 7 cards. The objective of the game is to get rid of all 7 of these cards, and that makes you the victor of that match. Now, Uno allows 2 to 10 players, so even if you have 10 players involved, that's only 70 cards that are dealt, and there are about 108 cards in an Uno deck, so there will still be some remaining, and that deck will turn into the draw pile. Now, whatever card is on top of the draw pile will be picked up, because everything is facing down, and flipped over. And whatever it is now the start of the discard pile. From the draw pile, people draw things, so from the rest of the game, when you need to pick up a card, you'll be picking it up from the draw pile, while in the discard pile, you discard your cards. This is where you want all of your cards to end up for you to be a victor at the end of the match. Now, the way that you put your cards into the discard pile is, on your turn, if you have something that on top of the discard pile matches with either its symbol or its color, you can play it. You can also play some special cards like Wild and Wild Draw 4 cards whenever you please. Now, there is a rule on Wild Draw 4s in the official rule set of Uno, but no one abides by it, and neither will I, because it is really, really stupid, and I won't even explain it to you because it's that ridiculous. Let's just act like Wild Draw 4 doesn't have any rules when it comes to playing it. +2 gives the next player that is right after you 2 cards and skips their turn. Skip only skips their turn without giving them 2 cards, and reverses the direction of the game. So if it's going clockwise, now it will be counterclockwise and vice versa. Wild cards can always be played. A regular wild card allows you to change the color and then it is the turn of the next person, while a wild draw 4 lets you change the color, skips the next person's turn, and also gives them 4 cards. Once you're down to your last card, you are supposed to say Uno before you get rid of your second to last card, or otherwise, if someone catches you, you will receive a penalty of 2 cards straight from the draw pile. But once you get rid of your last card, everyone has to now show you their hand, and every card that is in everyone's hand has some sort of a point value assigned to it, and all of those points will be added and you will get that added to your score. Then the next match begins, then the next match begins, etc. until one of the players in the group finally attains 500 or more points, at which point they become the winner of all of the matches so far. Then you can start a new game if you feel like it. Now, the way that we are doing things, we are going to be doing a match by match game. So we are adding some house rules, but rest of the things are official. The way we're going to do it is if you win one match, you're automatically the winner. We are not doing the points. And yeah, that's the rules. I actually explained them really well today. I'm really proud of myself for that. Let's meet in the next section of the video where I will actually talk about the bot and the strategies that I gave it. Very energetic today. Now, due to the game being so RNG oriented, the bot's the bot's strategy is pretty simple. And I know I say that something is pretty simple quite often and then it ends up not being quite simple, but this time it's really simple, like on skibbity. So the first thing that the bot checks out is whether or not we are in danger mode. So what danger mode is, if the next player right after you has 3 or less cards, you're in danger mode because that boy is finishing really quickly. If the bot is in danger mode, it will try absolutely everything to add onto the card count of the next player or to ensure that they don't play. So the first thing is, do we have a wild draw 4? Because drop that thing immediately and ensure that the next person draws 4 cards so that they are back to 7. If we don't have wild draw 4, we may look for wild draw 2s that are playable. If you don't have wild draw 2s, you can always try a skip or a reverse to ensure that they're not the next to play. And if you don't have anything, at least like try playing a wild card if you have that, so that you can change the color to something that they don't want. Yeah, I completely forgot to even put this in the script, but it actually keeps a track of what colors players around the table want. Isn't that cool? I think that's really cool. Now, if you're in danger mode and the next player has only 1 card, the coolest thing happens. This is like a movie. Instead of letting them win, like, I don't have anything to play to add on to their troubles, and they have only 1 card remaining. So what the bot does, instead of letting the win happen, it picks up a card, even if it can play something. Since it's not stopping the next person from potentially placing the card, the bot will actually pick up a card in hopes to get something to prevent the next player from playing their last card. And isn't that awesome? I think it's pretty cool. I'm also very proud of this feature. I'm very proud of this bot, if you couldn't tell. Then there's some code for if you're changing the color. So if you're changing the color to something else, it will typically prefer whatever it has the most of. But if you're in danger mode and whatever you have the most of is also what the next player requires, it will typically pick the second most popular color in its hand. After all of these things, if it's playing with a single player as its opponent, it will look for combinations. So the interesting thing about Uno is that, for example, the reverse card, when you're playing with a single person, changes its rules. So instead of reversing the order, it actually acts the same way a skip card would. So you can kind of combo cards if you're playing against a single player. So you can play a skip card, then a reverse card, then a skip card, then a reverse card, then a reverse card, and you can just combo for as long as you want. All action cards except wild actually do combos in when you're playing against a single player. So if it is playing against a single player, it will try to find the longest combos that don't involve wild draw 4, and if the combos are fairly long, it will almost always do them. Now, if it finds a combo that is as long as its entire hand, that means that that combo will inevitably lead to its victory, which is why if that happens, it immediately starts playing that combo because that's a guaranteed win. So if all of these strategies are gone through and still nothing is played, then the bot will play whatever it can, prioritizing regular cards over wild cards. And if wild cards are really the only thing that it can play, then, well, it will play them. And that's the whole strategy when it comes to playing cards. It also, as I said, it tracks how many cards every player has, and if they forget to call out Uno, it immediately calls them out, and they get a penalty of 2 cards. And it's a lovely thing. So in the next section of the video, we will actually be doing things with the bot. There will be people, and there will be other things, not just people. Remember that, it's very important for the next section of the video. Don't forget that. Well, I didn't. Hello, it's the next section of the video, despite the fact that I'm in the same place. So the first thing that I decided to do with the bot is pair it up against a single human. We were, well, not we, I was planning a lot of rounds with this human. The human in question is my friend Jack. I was planning a lot of rounds with him, but let me just start by saying that I tested this bot for a very long time. In fact, look at this screenshot. This month, this specific channel was used for nothing other than testing this bot, and I somehow surpassed 9,000 messages. Jack, within 3 rounds, had 2 of the longest games with this bot in its history. I don't know how he did it. So because of how long his games were continuing, one of them literally continued 35 minutes, I decided we would be fine with just 5 games, and that's what we did. We played 5 games. Jack versus Oliver. His whole character, he's supposed to be from Reading, Ohio, where Uno originates from, even born during the same year, and he's supposed to be a family guy. And when I think of Family Guy America, all I can think of is the show. So I decided to look up Family Guy funny moments, and the first background character that I saw, I screenshotted it, and it became the profile picture for Oliver. So yeah, that's the backstory behind that. But anyways, yeah, there were 5 rounds. The first one was fairly short from what I remember, and Oliver won. Oliver started with a great dub, and the second game, it wouldn't be surprising to know that Oliver also won. This is the 35-minute long game. After this, Jack needed a little break, and if you've noticed, there are 5 games to be played, which means you only need to win 3 to be the victor, and then you no longer need to play, which means all Oliver needed to do is just play 1 more game and win it, and that was it. Which means the only way that Jack could win was by winning 3 games back to back, which wasn't looking likely with how bad Oliver was humiliating him. So after his little break, I think he played Overwatch. I don't know, I was also fixing a little bug that he found. But on the third game, third game was the second longest in Oliver's history. It was, I don't remember how long it was. I think it was 27 minutes, and it ended with Jack's first victory. Things were starting to look a tad bit hopeful. Now, every game after this, only 2 remaining, if Oliver would win, it would be over. So Jack was on his best behavior, and the 4th game was incredibly close. Much shorter than the previous 2, but it was incredibly close. But Jack ended up winning again. As I said, this game is incredibly luck-based, and Jack was getting really good hands lately. So somehow he had turned the tides, and despite Oliver winning the first 2 games, somehow he was pulling back, and he made the last game actually feel like a proper finale. The game was somewhat long, not comparing to the 2 long ones, but it was somewhat long, and Jack got down to his last card once, forgot to call Uno, got told to pick up 2 cards. It was a minor setback for him, it was fine, but then he got down to his last card again and forgot to say Uno again. He got called out, he picked up 2 more cards. He had been called out twice. And at this point he had learned this would no longer happen. But unfortunately for him, before he could get down to his last card again, Oliver was already finished. And with that, Oliver was the victor. So I would say that Oliver is probably still better, but I don't know. Uno is an incredibly RNG game, and 5 games are definitely not enough to decide this type of stuff. It was really fun. This section of the video was probably the most fun because there was so much going on. 2 games back to back when it depended on his victory. Incredible. It was incredible. Now, I was equally as excited for the next part of the video because I got to collaborate with a friend. Not a YouTuber, unfortunately. I would love to collaborate with another YouTuber, but with a friend who coded. He had made a bot specifically for this video, and I had made a bot specifically for this video, so you know what that means, right? I mean, you can piece things together. So you know what it means when 2 people make a bot for a video about a game. We made the bots fight like a lot. So we did 20 games in total, but the first 10 were supposed to be the determiner of which bot was better or whatever. And there were games where his bot won, and there were games where my bot won, and it was great. There were times when my bot was losing, and so more times when his was. And by the end of it, by the end of the first 10 games, it was at 6-4 with my bot winning. And that was great because my bot had officially won. But then we tried 10 more games, and my bot was still winning. My bot won. In fact, during the last 10 games, I don't think my bot ever was losing, which is lovely. I think during the entirety of the 20 games, there were only 2 games during which my bot's score was lower than his. But yeah, by the end of it, my bot had 11 and his bot had 9. So it was lovely. His bot was actually pretty good. I know I'm dashing on it right now, but that's because I'm really proud of mine. I feel like a proper parent. And yeah, that's it. 11-9. My bot won, and it was a great experience working with someone else for once. And yeah. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting to say names. My friend's name is Sheriff, and his bot was actually called the Chosen Uno, right? I've been recording footage for so long that it's getting dark. I also had to wait for some things to get like confirmation and stuff. At the end of the day, I'm very proud with the bot that I created, even if it still has some bugs probably. It is open source, so you can actually download it and run it yourself if you still feel like it, and you can actually play Oliver yourself. This is so immersive, isn't it? You just have to understand a little bit about code, I think. Kind of. I don't know, maybe I'll have a little bit of a manual in there. No, I'll definitely have a manual, but I don't know how much it will tell you. At the end of the day, it was very interesting how me and my friend did a lot of things in a very similar way. Because there are only so many ways you can make an Uno bot. It was fun, it was great. And for the next video, I think for the first time ever, my face will not be developing a pimple in an obvious and a terrible place one day before I record all the footage for my video. That's about it. Bye.